Okay, we're going to do solving by using U substitution when the powers are going to be fractions. So we're going to take x to the 1/2 minus 2x to the 1/4. It's going to equal to 0. So what you're going to do here is first you need to recognize that if you're given this problem, another format that it could be in is that it could be in x plus, minus 2, and then the 4th root of x is equal to 0. So that is another option that could have happened on there, and that doesn't look very clear. So let me rewrite that. The 4th root of x equals to 0. So these two equations are exactly the same. You need to know that you could change one to the other. So if they're given in that format, you could go back from one to the other, because the denominator is always the index of the radical. So since there is no index here, the index is actually 2, so that's why the denominator is 2. The index here is 4, that's why the denominator there is 4. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to use this thing called a U substitution. Now, it could have been any variable, but that's just what has been used, so that's what we're going to use. So we're going to say U is always going to be the middle term, so b. We don't use the b, we just use whatever the variable and the exponent with the variable is. So we're going to set u equal to x to the 1/4. So we set that, not the coefficient. Notice how I didn't do it to the coefficient. I only took the variable and the exponent and set u to it. So then what you're going to do is then square both sides. If I square the u, then of course I have to square the right hand side. So the u squared is now going to be x, because this is over 1, so you're going to get equals 2 over 4, which is going to equal to 1/2. So when I square it, it's going to be x to the 1/2. Now, if I square both sides with the middle term, and it looks exactly like the leading coefficient, the first term, see how they're exactly the same? Then I could do some substitution. So the substitution is this. The substitution is that instead of writing x to the 1/2, we're going to write u squared, because they're equal to the same thing. And instead of writing, we're going to leave the minus 2, but instead of writing x to the 1/4, we set it equal to u, so that is our u, and we set it equal to 0. So then now I'd rather do, it's so much easier to do this function down here than it is to do that function. It's a quadratic, so you use one of the 4 methods. In this case, the method out of the 4 I would use is factoring. So then we get u minus 2 equals to 0. So u equals 0, u minus 2 is equal to 0, u is equal to 2. But the question of the problem is not to solve for u, it was to solve for x. So we have to go back and replace x. So replacing x means that u was equal to x to the 1/4 is equal to 0, and u is equal to x to the 1/4 is equal to 2. So then we have not solved for x because the exponent is not 1, so we need to change the exponent. So in order to do 1/4, I am going to raise it to the 1/4. So I'm going to raise the other side to the 1/4. These 1/4s, the 4's are going to cancel, and I get x is equal to 0. And then, of course, I have x to the 1/4, which is going to be raised to the 4. So I need to raise this to the 4. And so then I end up with 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, which ends up being 16. So then you check to see whether the answers are going to be correct. And so then what you do here is you're going to substitute 0 into that, and then substitute 16 into that, and see if you get an answer on there. And it turns out that they're both solutions, so that's what you get there. Okay.